Now, here are some of the key takeaways from night one, day one, whatever. Here's the first one. A second term for Trump is the country's only hope. Oh, my God. Most of the speakers last night echoed that strident, divisive tone employed by the ape in portraying Democrats as godless anarchists and socialists and appeasers, like I mentioned before the break. The praise for Trump was all over the place because who spoke? Take a look at who spoke. And Trump's reelection was cast as the country's only hope for survival. The child molesting or the they're not children when they're in high school or in college anymore, are they? The athlete molesting, sexually harassing athletes at Ohio State enabler, Jim Jordan, representative of Ohio. He was a wrestling coach when the doctor there was sexually molesting student after student after student. And Jordan knew about it, and he didn't say anything about it. Maybe because he got to watch, maybe because he got to participate in the sexual abuse. I don't know. But we do know that Jim Jordan is a hyper, what else is he? Hyperactive, manic, crazy man. That's all. I'll go with that, Malloy. Okay, crazy man, Jim Jordan, who should be questioned by a grand jury in Ohio as to his participation in either the actual molestation of these athletes or his participation in a passive way, like maybe peeking out from one of the shower rooms to watch the doctor sexually abuse athletes. Right, Jim? But here's what he said, quote, Democrats refuse to denounce the mob. They're also trying to take away your guns. Democrats won't let you go to church, but they'll let you protest. Democrats won't let you go to work, but they'll let you riot. Democrats won't let you go to school, but they'll let you loot. End quote. Now, aside from the fact that this racist piece of Caucasian shit is just exactly that, how does it come to pass in the land of the free and the home of the brave that someone advocating for the reelection of a man who has been totally incompetent and useless in terms of moving the country forward, that man endorsing the reelection of that bum can make those kinds of statements about one of the two major political parties? I mean, as much as I hate Democrats, there would be no basis in fact for me to say they won't let you go to work, but they'll let you riot. They won't let you go to church, but they'll let you protest. You filthy, filthy, dirty man, Jordan. God. And then shouting from the podium into an empty room, Kimberly Guilfoyle, the former Fox sewer personality who is Donald Trump Jr.'s current bed partner, said the Democrats, quote, want to destroy this country and everything that we have fought for and hold dear. They want to steal your liberty, your freedom. They want to control what you see and think and believe so they can control how you live. They want to enslave you to the weak, dependent, liberal victim ideology to the point that you will not recognize this country or yourself. End quote. Now, I promise not to say it, but I have to say it one time. What the fuck was that? Excuse me. I'm sorry, but that's the only one you'll get. And when it was his turn, little Donnie Trump Jr., that little bearded shit, who had somebody write a book for him, and then he put his name on it as the author, titled Triggered, How the Left Thrives on Hate and Wants to Silence Us. This is backwards world. Everything that these wasted blobs of ectoplasm had to say at the first night of this circle jerk called the Republican National Convention. Everything was exactly the reverse. Anything that they accuse the Democrats of is precisely by their action what they advocate. You don't have to believe anyone who tells you otherwise, like moi. You don't have to pay any attention to what I'm saying. Just look at their action and compare it to what they accuse the Democrats of actually going to do. It's madness. But Don Jr., that little shit, he alternated between this phony-ass little, oh, I have a more hopeful vision of American greatness, and a stinking, vile, filthy contempt of those that he said were standing in the way of American greatness. God, is there anything around here I can smash? Let me look. Is something under? No? Anything over here? Ooh, I just need something to break. Well, there's nothing in here to break. This is what this little prick said, quote, Joe Biden is basically the Loch Ness monster in the swamp. The Loch Ness monster of the Washington swamp. That's Joe Biden, according to this little bearded prick. He goes on, for the past half century, he's been lurking around in there. He sticks his head up every now and then to run for president, then he disappears and doesn't do much in between. Hey, diphthong, Donnie Jr., I realize that you have the worst set of genes possible for a human being to bear. But are you forgetting 8 years of Joe Biden as vice president, you little shit? Who helped put into place economic programs that your useless, bloated, filthy, raping old man has been riding on for the past almost 4 years. Have you ever got that, Junior, you little shit? But that wasn't enough. The little shit went on. Quote, Joe Biden and the radical left are also now coming for our freedom of speech. And they want to bully us into submission. If they get their way, it will no longer be the silent majority. It will be the silenced majority. End quote. Oh, my God. Oh, you know what this boy needs? He needs somebody to turn him over their lap, take his $2,000 slacks down, and just paddle his ass until it turns bright cherry red. That's what Donnie Jr. needs. A good ass paddling. Ooh, Malloy, you threatened violence against a member of the first family. Ooh, no, I said that's what he needs. Oh, my God. He probably needed it when he was a kid, but what did he get from his filthy father? Nothing. No guidance. No definitions as to what constituted filthy, amoral, unethical behavior. Nothing. What did the bloated orange ape offer to Don Jr. to make this little son of a bitch turn out the way he did? Nothing. All Don Jr. had to do was to observe what his rancid, useless, criminal father actually did with his lies and his cheating and his evading issues that he created and not paying his bills and filing lawsuits and declaring bankruptcy and screwing anything that walked by that had a skirt or a pair of shorts on. What a filthy, filthy role model Donald Trump must have been. And the proof is in this little walking, bearded little shit, Don Jr. There's your proof. My God. Another takeaway was that Trump saved the United States from COVID-19. Oh, glory, hallelujah. Don't pay attention to the 176,000 people dead. Don't pay attention to the 5 million, approaching 6 million cases. Don't pay any attention to the fact that it's still rampant and uncontrolled in the United States. Don't pay any attention to that. Trump saved the United States from COVID-19. That was the elephant in the room last night. The fact that more than we're approaching 180,000 Americans have died in this pandemic. The death toll was not mentioned. Neither was the number of Americans who have contracted the virus, approaching 6 million now. But in a tape segment introducing a panel of healthcare workers and first responders, as reported here by Yahoo News, Trump made clear that he believes he bears no blame for the number of Americans who have died or been affected by the virus. No blame, not me. I am innocent. I'm an innocent man. I am pure. Look at me. I did nothing except build a vibrant economy and other stuff. This is what he said, quote, "These are the incredible workers that helped us so much with the COVID. We can call it many different things. The China virus. I don't want to go through all the names because some people may get insulted, but that's the way it is." So he was praising the healthcare workers and first responders. But he doesn't want to call the Trump pandemic exactly what it is because, some people may get insulted, but that's the way it is. And then later, the little shit, the little bearded jack-legged freak, the one with the totally screwed up DNA, Trump Jr., said the virus had come to the U.S., quote, "courtesy of the Chinese Communist Party." Quote, the Chinese guy. Oh, my God. Oh, my God, these people are just so rotten. And then there was a taped montage showing Democrats, including Speaker Pelosi, downplaying the threat of COVID-19 early in the outbreak, as everyone did. Who knew? We didn't know anything about it. And we assumed we were going to have leadership. But, of course, we didn't. And Democratic governors, including Cuomo of New York, Murphy of New Jersey, thanking Trump for his assistance in fighting the pandemic, something that Trump explicitly made a condition of dispersing federal help. Remember that? If they don't treat me nice, I'm not going to give them shit. If they're not nice to me, if they don't talk nice to me, no PPE for you, no soup for you, no ventilator for you. You filthy, filthy slug, you. Then a registered nurse in West Virginia who relocated to New York in April to help fight the virus, her name's Amy Ford, denounced the governor of New York, saying, quote, "His lack of action made my job treating patients who had their worlds turned upside down that much harder." His lack of action, Amy? His lack? And the death rate now in New York or the infection rate or whatever it is the lowest in the country? Are you kidding me, Amy? What kind of a nurse are you? God. And then Dr. G.E. Galley, a Louisiana physician who himself contracted COVID-19, praised the apes' handling of the pandemic. This is what Dr. Galley said, quote, "A prompt response led by President Trump cleared away the red tape that usually makes drug approvals a long and drawn-out process. By harnessing the resources of the federal government and the private sector, President Trump's Operation Warp Speed is accelerating the testing, supply, development, and distribution of therapeutics, diagnostics, and very shortly, effective vaccines to counter COVID-19, end quote. It was all Trump. Isn't that glorious? It was all Trump. Dr. Galley, I realize that the Hippocratic Oath is just bullshit formality, tradition, but there's a line in there that says, first, do no harm, you unconscionable bastard, you. How can you be a medical person, a scientific person, and say this kind of shit that you know is not true? You should follow Amy Ford, the one who denounced Cuomo. You should follow her, Dr. Galley, and get rid of your medical license. You goddamn phony, you. The next takeaway, I just get so angry. You can tell, can't you? Because my language is rapidly deteriorating. I know. If you were listening in the radio, or on the radio in your car, and the kids were in the back seat, you probably had to turn it off. I understand. But it is impossible for me to live in a country that is being run by a cabal of fascist gangsters, grifters, liars, who are destroying everything, including the people with whom they come into contact. Destroying everything. And sit here and use Sunday school language. I'm sorry, I can't do it. Can't do it. The next takeaway, Trump is just as nice as Biden, or nicer. See, at last week's Democratic convention, Biden was contrasted with Trump in terms of both policy and character, of which Trump has neither. So it was an easy comparison. Now, Biden, who suffered the loss of his first wife and daughter in a car wreck in 1972, and then 5 years ago, the death of another son, or a son, to cancer. He was hailed, Biden was, as a person of empathy whose human connection helps to guide the decisions he makes. Right? And that certainly makes a kind of sad sense. You know, when you suffer those kinds of tragedies, something happens and you become more, if you are an evolving human being, I should say, you become more empathetic, more sympathetic, more understanding, more compassionate. Trump could have his whole rotten family wiped out, and it wouldn't change him one iota. But Republicans insisted last night that compassion was one of the Orange Ape's defining virtues. Hold your laughter. Hold your gag reflex. Compassion is one of Trump's defining virtues. Hey, Truth Seekers, while we're practicing safe social distancing, it's a great time to treat yourself with some seriously delicious, responsibly sourced coffee. Awaken to pleasure with River Moon Coffee. But don't take my word for it. Here are two recent reviews. Quote, "We sell River Moon Coffee at Marine General Store, and I can't seem to keep up with customer demand. Not only is the coffee excellent, but the philosophy behind it, the careful sourcing and constant research to bring a quality product to customers, appeals to the hearts of our community." End quote. And here's one from a fellow Malloy listener. Quote, "I love this coffee. I buy it in 5-pound bags. I especially love the Truth Seeker blend." End quote. Sounds like they're planning ahead for the apocalypse. Anyway, support a progressive small business that supports this program. Go to MikeMalloy.com and click on the River Moon Coffee link on the main page. You'll thank me later.